Number 8, the success principles. So here we're jumping into the concept that it's going to require hard work. Whatever that is that you want to accomplish in your life, if you want to get down to a specific weight health-wise, it's going to require you not only to have the self-control, the willpower not to eat certain things, it's also going to require us to put an effort of activity. Whether that's going for a walk, going for a hike, jump roping, doing some lifting, some running, some sprinting, whatever it is that gets you active and excited, that's necessary. There's this great quote that he has in here from Stephen King, the phenomenal best-selling author. He says, "Talent is cheaper than table salt. What separates the talented individual from the successful one is a lot of hard work." We know that. We know the stories. We know people in our own lives that were extremely talented, but wouldn't put in the work. And so you don't want that to be said of your talents. You want to make sure that if, let's say, you're really good at writing, you want to be the best version of yourself at writing. It doesn't mean you need to compare yourself to Stephen King, who has over 50 best-selling novels. It means that you're willing to put in that time. So practice, practice, practice. It reminds me of when I took my sons when they were about 7 and 5. We went to the driving range, and we were hitting golf balls, and I bought them each a bucket, a small bucket, and I had a large, and they were getting frustrated to the point that they're almost crying. So I pulled them off number one, you can't be crying on the golf course. Okay, just not appropriate, even though we're at the driving range. And I asked them why were they so frustrated. They said, because we're not hitting it very far. We're not hitting as far as you. And I said, hold on a second. How long have you guys been golfing? This is our first time, Dad. Yeah. So why do you think you're going to be able to be exceptionally well at hitting the ball? Oh. And then I said, how much bigger am I than you? Oh, you're huge, Dad. Yes, I am compared to you, 7 and 5. You're not very big. So the goal of the driving range is to hit every ball out of the bucket. That's it. Don't worry about where it's going. Don't worry about how far it's going to go. Your role is to just hit the ball. How's that sound? Like, okay, we can do that. And so all of a sudden their frustration went away from trying to hit it a certain distance, and it became a much more beneficial activity than them being so frustrated. The next principle in this, number 17, is ask, ask, ask. So many people are afraid to ask. They're afraid for the rejection that might happen to them. So here's some bullet points. Ask as if you expect to get it. Assume you can do it. Ask someone who can give it to you. Be specific and clear about what you want. Ask repeatedly. So there was this great Herbert True, a marketing specialist at Notre Dame University, basically said that 44% of all salespeople will quit selling the product after the first call. Only 24% will quit after the second call. 14% will quit after the third call, and 12% quit after the fourth call. And 95% of salespeople will quit after the fourth call. And what they found is that 60% of business of all sales are made after that fourth call. So it's no wonder that your top 5% make the majority of sales. Ask and it shall be given to you. That's even in the Bible. It's a very common phrase. It's even a common story about the genie. Let me grant you your wishes. Excuse me. One of the biggest fears for people is being rejected. And so what happens is when they ask, they feel like they themselves are being rejected, when the reality is they just don't want that. So for example, I might want to give you a car for free, and you might not want that car. If let's say it's in 2018, I say, oh, it's a Hyundai, Accent, their smallest car. You might say, no, I don't want it. And I'd ask you why. Well, because I have a really big family. That would be totally impractical. If I took it from you, I'd again have to go sell it. And so for some people, just the selling it might be too frustrating. So in that scenario, I shouldn't feel rejected. You just rejected the car. You didn't reject me. And so we need to be able to think about that rejection and just transfer it to what it really is. The other thing that I think for a lot of people, especially if you're in sales, is that you haven't given them a reason why to buy. If you're telling me just because it's got 4 wheels and a steering wheel and it's got a combustion engine that I should buy it, you're totally wrong. Because I have different things that I want on the reason why I want to buy something when it comes to something as simple as a vehicle. And so that when we start thinking about from the perspective of the person we're sitting across from and what they actually want, that's when you start seeing success. So understanding that rejection is a part of the process. Being told no gets us closer to a yes. Sherman's out.